there was a big statue of an eagle, like a I don't know what, like an American eagle or something. It was commemorating some returning from World War II or something like that. So Prabhupada went out of his way to look at it, and there was a lamb around it or something. It was like some sheep or something. And Prabhupada said that there's a type of bird that flies from one planet to another planet. And Prabhupada said it is so big, like it just flies from planet to planet. And it picks up an elephant, will pick it up and then drop it. And it kills the elephant, and then it'll eat the elephant. What can I say? Prabhupada said it. We were there on the walking front, just because he saw this eagle statue.
And then he went on to describe the abominable snowman, how the abominable snowman is a big demon, you know, living in the mountains with big footprints, and how there are all these various entities in the deep in the ocean and up in the mountains and in the dark jungles of Africa. There are all kinds of things. You know, when you're fresh out of school, you think the scientists that everything that's there has been discovered, and it's all been taught in History 101 or Anthropology 202 or whatever. But he made it very clear that that's not the way it is, that there's a lot of things that we didn't know about. And of course we accepted that, you know, his view of the world. But it was just very interesting to see the things that he would come up with.
In New Vrindavan, Prabhupada was sitting out on the lawn, and I was a temple president in Ann Arbor in those days, so, you know, temple presidents, we got to sit there. And some man had come. He was a neighbor. And, you know, West Virginia, right? Almost heaven. Well, that almost is in capital letters, I assure you. But this man was a simple man, and he showed up, and he was a retired judge or something, and he heard that Prabhupada was there. He pulled his pickup truck, got out of his pickup truck, walked right up to Srila Prabhupada, said, "Got something for you, Swami," and plopped this grocery bag on Prabhupada's lap. And, you know, Prabhupada, on one hand, he was very large, you know, he had a presence that he could fill the whole room. But in reality, you know, you're close to him, Prabhupada was not actually that very tall, and he was very delicate, actually. So we had Prabhupada sitting there, and this big grocery bag was on Prabhupada's lap. He just plopped it right there. So Prabhupada reached inside. It was full of vegetables. Prabhupada pulled out this zucchini. Prabhupada, and he showed it to everyone. Prabhupada said, when someone brings you something from their garden, that is love. So the man with this big, rough hillbilly, had, you know, and when Prabhupada said that, the guy got like tears in his eyes. He couldn't believe it, you know.
In Hawaii once, there was a couple who came to visit him. And this particular devotee was very good at making, he was a sculptor. He had helped me make some deities. And Prabhupada wanted him to make some deities, I think Panchatattva deities. He went on and on to explain to him how he wanted him to do it and so forth. And spent quite a bit of time explaining it all to him. And then after the conversation, the boy asked him if it was okay for his wife to make silk, to kill the silkworms to make the silk. And Prabhupada was like, after they left, he was saying, these Western boys are so creative. Next they will be asking me if they can kill cows to make mridangas.
One time, one of the big ministers, he was the number 2 person in the state government, he was the home minister, and he came to see Srila Prabhupada, and his family, his name is Tarunkanti Ghosh. His family is family of Vaishnavas. His grandfather was the one who said that Bhaktivinoda Thakur was the 7th Goswami. He had written a book about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So now his grandson had become a big politician. He was the editor of a major newspaper also. So he came to see Prabhupada, and when he came, he went right behind Prabhupada's desk, and he went to grab Srila Prabhupada's feet. So at that time, Brahmananda was going to come, and then looked like he was going to go and jump on him. And then Prabhupada, you know, here the home minister is the person who's in charge of all the police, all the everything. You know, he said, no, it's all right. You know, and he just came and grabbed Prabhupada's feet and just put his head on his feet. You know, like Prabhupada, what could he do?
there was, when Prabhupada would sit in his garden, we planted, one of the reasons I went to Laguna Beach was we jackhammered up the back of the patio and made a garden there for Srila Prabhupada, and I would do some gardening there after it was set up. So Prabhupada would sit in his garden and he would read in the afternoon. He would come in the evenings. We planted some jasmines underneath Prabhupada's window. It's actually nice. You could hear that karate in the back, but with that open window, the jasmine would come in the window there. And so Prabhupada would come out after it had gotten cool, and he would sit and he would read with sannyasis and temple presidents and stuff. He would read. And we would all go upstairs, which I guess now is whatever that room is, maybe they use it for plays or storage or stuff like that. We would look out the windows into the garden, and you'd be like a whole gallery of devotees. And Gargamuni would look up, and he'd say, get up, So he got real heavy with us, that we couldn't be up there. Look, he was bothering Srila Prabhupada. So finally he broke us of our habits, and no one would look out that window. So the first day that no one was there, Prabhupada looked up and said, where are the devotees? So they said, well, Gargamuni said, they shouldn't be there. And Prabhupada, go get them. So all the we would all sit and look out the windows and Srila Prabhupada in the garden. Like Prabhupada liked it, the devotees were there. So he was looking through his paper. They showed Prabhupada the paper about the moonshot. And on the front, one small step for man, one large step, for mankind, or whatever the propaganda line was. So Prabhupada looked at that, Prabhupada was flipping through, and then Prabhupada got to about the 4th or 5th page, and there was a whole thing about how taxes were going to have to go up for the moonshot to pay for the space. Prabhupada said, this is their real business. That they've made some scam, and just to squeeze money out of the innocent public. So Prabhupada said, this is their real business is squeezing money, and this is just some sideshow on the side like that. So Prabhupada's comment on the moonshot.
I can remember one of the most persistent memories is the sand crab story. And this took place in Hawaii many years later. But again, we were walking on the beach, and he was talking about the sand crabs. There's these little white crabs that as you walk down the beach, they run and hide in their hole. They run sideways. You've seen them, I'm sure. And he went on and on for days about the sand crabs. And what he was saying, finally it dawned on me that he was saying that there is no such word in Sanskrit or in the Vedic text as instinct. That instinct, why is the sand crab running? This is the kind of conversation. Why is the sand crab running? The sand crab is running away due to instinct, they would say. His instinct is to go into its hole. And he was saying that there's no such thing as instinct, that instinct is a word that's been coined by the scientists to cover up for the fact that there's super soul, there's God, and there's past experience. And he went on and on to explain this in detail, and finally it dawned on me that I've been taught Darwinism all my life. And I didn't even know it. Even though I've been a devotee for, at this point, maybe 8 years or whatever, 7 years or something, that Darwinism is what we're taught in the schools. We're raised this way. We were raised to think that everything is operating on instinct, the birds are doing this, the beasts are doing this. But Prabhupada was like blasting this philosophy day after day with this explanation. He went into detail with me. He said, he asked me, supposing you know where's the privy. The privy is the bathroom. It's just in there. Now, supposing you come into this house 20 years from now. Because you were here 20 years ago, you know the privy is there. Similarly, you've been in the body before, many lifetimes, so you know that as soon as you open the eyes, you look for the mother's breast. The little animal is nudging for the mother's breast. So similarly, it's the past experience, the past lifetimes, and it's the guidance of the super soul within the heart that guides the living entity. It's not instinct. There's no such thing as instinct. Instinct makes no sense at all. It's a word. What does instinct mean? It means nothing. And if you stop and think about it and you analyze it, you see it means absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And yet the scientists have convinced everyone that the whole of nature is moving by instinct. But the whole of nature is not moving by instinct, it's moving by super soul. You can throw food outside and within 20 minutes the birds will be eating it. And they'll say it's instinct. But it's actually the super soul is guiding them, oh, there's food. And so this is the kind of talks that he would get into.
One time he was very strong with me, and he was like chastising me or giving me some strong instruction. And the next time I came to see him, then he had changed his mood, and he said, "I'm sorry that maybe I dealt with you too harshly," or he said, how did he say it? He said, I'm a very hard person to tolerate, I deal very harshly," or something. And I couldn't believe that Prabhupada was saying, such a thing to me. And then I said, "No, Srila Prabhupada, I was offensive, and there was no wrong on your part."